Even the show itself is admitting they haven't gone anywhere with this plot. We open this week with our heroes getting excited for a fireworks festival because it is still summer, and they still need to kill time until Tomioka returns. I mean, really, they can't do anything too extreme with this show's plot since we've mostly had a bunch of inconsequential filler episodes for the past few weeks, and with this one, our heroes were just going to kind of goof around. So yeah, I'm sure this is just going to be an easygoing episode with no consequences and...
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, I could probably use that Anchorman clip to describe this whole episode in general, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Anyway, Cannonborg was frustrated that they had collected so little gasoline, the fear energy that the baddies had been gathering throughout the season, so he decided to just use the nuclear option that even his underlings were against, because, well, how else were they going to farm more energy in the future? However, he didn't listen to anything they said, other than comparing him to the Rex of Foregone Frustrations, because I'm sure we'll never see that guy again. Okay, but seriously, I would have really liked to have seen more flashbacks between these two, because they are such polar opposites. They would actually help to flesh both of them out by showing what sorts of values they stand by. Anyway, the Boonboomger, through the ISA, quickly caught wind of Cannonborg's plans.
Things that could have been brought to my attention yesterday!
Yeah, again, this is just kind of what happens when your show's head writer goes away for an extended period. Like, this plot probably would have made a little more sense if it had come out just a little after Homura's intro arc, but that was about 8 episodes ago. And in that intervening time, we got several filler episodes that in a vacuum weren't bad or anything, but it did leave the main plot kind of hanging that when it did need to start kicking back into gear, we end up with a few plot holes like this, and a very rushed story as a result. It is frustrating, but thinking back on it, it is also a common practice with a lot of toy properties, not just Super Sentai. With that, the Boonboomger only had 62 minutes to locate the villains and destroy Cannonborg's controller. Thus they tried everything, including getting the police involved through Joe, and handing out wanted posters. Well, just make sure you don't give one of those to this lady.
Now you know, dear, there's no such thing as monsters.
Taya also tried to flex his money again, in admittedly a pretty epic fashion by purchasing a freaking satellite and trying to ram it into Cannonborg's device. However, it didn't work, and worst of all, I think part of California lost their internet connections. Actually, maybe that was the best possible outcome ever. But yeah, all seemed lost until...
Well, that was another easy adventure for Spider-Man!
Well, actually, there was a good plot reason that, even based on the next episode preview, we will get some follow-up on. As it turned out, the ISA had direct intel about the Hashiran, which Cannonborg seemed legit shocked about, though not because they had the intel, but more that they divulged it, which kinda makes you think that there might be something shady about the shady organization. Again, these are genuinely good plot developments that would have made a lot more sense if they came right after Shiabe's phone call at the end of episode 18, but I'm just kind of repeating myself at this point. Anyway, Cannonborg in a last-ditch effort started to pull off all of the Sentai death flags, starting with forcing his underlings to fight for him with some souped-up powers. However, that was foiled when Homura managed to give chase along with some gifts from his allies. Here, take this, and maybe this too! And when he caught up with the evil general, he raised his next death flag, trying to pull a Starscream by hiring Homura to help him take down the Hashiran higher-ups. It, not too surprisingly, didn't work because Homura had already made a strong bond with his Earthbound friends, in spite of spending pretty much most of his life off of the planet. And I will admit, this did lead to an awesome beatdown, especially once Homura broke out everyone else's weapons, but my question is, was this even a Homura episode? Because if anything, it seemed like it was going to be an Ishiro episode, but oh well, I guess we gotta try and wrap up as many loose ends as we can before entering into the next arc of the show. Anyway, Cannonborg was defeated, which freed up the real stars of this series, though he then did try to supersize them to deal with the Boonboomger, but... Yep, the best characters in this show, bar none. Anyway, the Boonboomger engaged him in their mechs, but being a general level enemy, it of course wasn't going to be easy. As not only do you have a strong barrier, but let's not forget that this guy also has Orochimaru's VA.
Okay, now you guys kiss!
However, our heroes weren't going to give up, and in spite of earlier stating that they didn't have their final upgrade of the season, they decided to bypass Cannonborg's barrier with a formation that looked more like a fan mode. Like, just based off the toy reviews I've seen, I'm pretty sure this isn't even listed in their instructions. I mean, it could be a preview for said final mech upgrade of the season, but we'll see. Regardless, their Akiba Ranger formation worked, and they defeated Cannonborg, and I'm pretty sure we won't see him again. With that, the episode ended with the Boonboomger enjoying the fireworks, but left questioning what exactly did the ISA know that they didn't. This episode would have been better if it had been allocated better. Like, in a vacuum and while certainly rushed in areas, this was actually a good episode as far as action and plot progression were concerned. It's just that said plot progression would have worked better if it were a little closer to the end of Homura's intro arc, like maybe right after 119's intro at the latest. As is, it's not bad, and at least Tomioka is coming back next week. As I said, this is just kind of a symptom of many toy productions where they also try to get the head writer to do the summer movie. Sure, they could get around this by just having another writer do it, but sometimes I guess they just want to keep that consistency between the mediums, which I get, and to be fair, with a show like this, it wasn't the worst case of it. This hasn't been the most serialized season like, say, King Oger, which arguably handled its story a lot better, but it is still noticeable with Homura being such a significant character in this episode, in spite of taking a little bit of a back seat after his intro arc. Cannonborg offering him a deal with the devil would be a little more dramatic if this were a still freshly face-turned Six Ranger, but less so after a whole episode where they played baseball together and volunteered at kindergarten. Again, the main plot isn't as important with this season, but character arcs are, so it is noticeably disjointed. All that said, this episode did excel in terms of just pure action, and it was legit awesome to see the original trio turning on Cannonborg after seeing so many episodes of him mistreating them, make it very cathartic. Most of all, they did at least successfully lay out the foundation for the next arc, where the season can start to rebuild itself with Tomioka back in the writer's seat. So overall, I would at least call this a solid conclusion to the Cannonborg arc, which I think will be the low point of the series, and even then, it was just kind of meh more than anything. Boonboomger, at this point in the race, probably won't be one of my favorite Sentai ever, but if they pick things up, which I think they can, they will at least take the bronze or silver medal. As always, I hope life is treating y'all good, even through these very hot months. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a little exhausting, and I do wish I had a little more time to work on other side projects that I know y'all are waiting on, but don't worry, in the coming months, this channel will start to produce more pre-cure content, as there is some stuff that I want to talk about aside from the current season. So, do look forward to it. Until then though, farewell for now my friends, and... Damn it, did I break another satellite?